My dear viewers, so up till now we have seen one dimension array and we have solved the problems also. Now let's start two dimension arrays. So let's see basic syntax of two dimension arrays. It's similar to one dimension array, only one difference is there. There will be two square brackets. Okay, so here in two dimension array we mention two dimensions. For example, the data type, then the array name, okay, and then the two in the two brackets we first mention row size and column size. Why it's written row size and column size? Because most of the time your these 2D arrays are used for matrix operation purposes. Okay, so normally we represent in this fashion. We mention the first one as a row size and second square bracket as a column size. So where row size is number of rows, column size is number of columns. So suppose the integer array is declared like this of 2D array a 5 comma 5, right? So how many elements are there? We can easily calculate by simply multiplying both the dimension. So row size multiplied by column size, it will give you the number of elements. The number of elements is what? 25. Okay, now one thing is you remember that since it's written over there row size and column size, and I told you that it is used for matrix operation purpose, that doesn't mean the entire array will be stored in the memory location in a fashion of matrices. Okay, the array will be stored in the similar fashion the way one dimensional array is stored. It will be in one line only and in the contiguous memory location. Okay, but only thing while writing the program we can represent in the matrices format. Okay, we can display to the user, clear. And but in the memory it will be stored in one contiguous memory location. Okay, it will never be stored in what, in matrices, in the matrix format. Okay, so let's see the next slide. 2D array accessing elements. So how we can access the elements of two dimensional array. The For the accessing the elements, it's very easy task. Only thing here we have to mention what, two subscript. Okay, in the one dimension array we mentioned only one subscript notation. Here we are having the two subscript notation. So for example, if I want to access first element, I'll write a 0 comma 0, right? The last element will be what, a 4 by 4. If the array is our previous one, right? If this is our array a 5 by 5, so always remember, if the size is 5, then index number will move from 0 to 4. Okay, for this one also column size also 0 to 4. So your index number will always start with a 0 and it will move up to n minus 1 time. Clear? So that's why if the first number you want to write, that will be a00, and the last number you want to write, that will be a 4 by 4. Okay, so remember one thing, how to access the elements. You can always access the element by saying what, by writing two subscript notation. Now let's see how 2D array is initialized. So we can initialize in the same line also. Okay, the way we initialize the one dimensional array. If you are initializing in this way, let's see, this is example int a 4 by 3. That means 4 rows will be there and 3 columns will be there. So that's what I was telling, that the array will be stored like this only in the memory. Okay, in the contiguous memory location. But since the syntax is like this, so while fetching we can fetch the rows row by row, right? For example, there are 4 rows, because this is what, this row size, so there will be 4 rows. So how to write the 4 rows? So the first and the 3 columns. Second dimension is what, column. So the first row will be what, 1 2 3 and 4, 1 2 3, right? 3 columns, so 1 2 3. The second row will be what, 4 5 6. The third row will be what, 7 8 9, and the fourth row will be what, 10 11 and 12. So if you are initializing in this particular fashion, then please remember you can separate it by this number of rows and number of columns. So according to that you can initialize, you can give the elements to that particular row and column. And let's say suppose I want to access the first element, I can give this particular notation a of 0 0. So a of 0 0 is nothing but your 1. A of 0 1 will be what, this particular element. A of 0 2 will be this element. If the array is initialized like this, see in the second way, a 4 by 3 I have written like this in the bracket, and then here it's a more proper notation, because here all the elements will be written by comma, In this way, here every row you can represent in a separate curly braces, so that the it is clearly visible. So the first row is 1 2 3, second row 4 5 6 in the curly brace, says third row is what 7 8 9, and the fourth row 10 11 12, and then you close this curly brace and semicolon. The same thing we can vertically also we can represent in this particular fashion. So you start this curly brace, close the curly brace and give the semicolon, then in between that we initialize all the rows. So 1 2 3, then comma 4 5 6 comma 7 8 9 comma, and then 10 11 12, right? Don't forget to mention this semicolon over there. So this is the vertical representation. Okay, suppose we have initialized our array in this way, int a 4 by 3, right? And then in the first row, so it's 4 by 3, that means 4 rows will be there and 3 columns will be there. But if we see the first row, only one element is there. In the second row, 2 elements is there, 2 3, right? In the third row, 3 elements are there, that's okay. But in the fourth row, only one element is there. So what about, for example, if we see the first row, only one element is there, so what about the other two elements? Other two elements by default they will get 0 value. So please remember, if the values are not initialized, they will be having what? 0 values. So for example, 0 1 element will be what? 0. 0 2 element will be what? 0. Okay, let's take this example. So in the two-dimensional array, this first dimension is optional. Okay, if you want you can skip, if you want you can you can avoid writing that particular dimension, but the second dimension, the column size, is must. Okay, that must be written. So if you're initializing the same line in this fashion, right? So what will be the first dimension, that is the row dimension? It will take depending on the number of rows we have initialized. For example, there for this is first row, second, third and fourth, so total 4 rows are there. So this dimension by default will be what? 4, right? So depending on the number of rows which we have initialized, it will take that particular dimension. So even though if you are not mentioning this dimension, it's okay, depending on the initialization it will be able to take. So this is what for the concept of 2D array. From the next video onwards, we'll be solving multiple problems based on 2-dimension array. So keep watching my videos. Thanks a lot for watching my videos.